Hi there, this is Chad from the Papercuts team. I wanted to make a quick video as a follow-up to a recent UX forum talk I gave about using Duo Workflow. The purpose of this video is just to kind of be like a tips and tricks video for both getting Duo Workflow set up locally and like using Duo Workflow and making edits to GitLab. So let me share my screen and get started. The very first thing you're going to want to do is install the GitLab Workflow extension in VSCode and make sure that it's authenticated. You may need to create a brand new personal access token for your user in order to do that. The GitLab Workflow extension is what houses the GitLab Duo Workflow stuff. So you'll need to do that. There's nothing in the documentation, I don't think, about the GitLab Workflow extension itself that talks about setting up Duo Workflow. So you're not going to find anything here. What you can do is hit Shift-Command-P to get the action menu open. You can also get that just by clicking up here and typing a caret like that. And if you type in Duo Workflow, you can see it's actually already the first thing in here because I recently used it. But if you type in Duo Workflow, you'll see you can show or run just Duo Workflow. So if you click on Show Duo Workflow, it'll open the Duo Workflow tab. This is the tab that I was showing in the video that I made. And you can see right now that I'm stuck with a page that says Configure Docker. It says before you can use GitLab Duo Workflow, you have to configure Docker. That sounds like it's going to be a lot. You might kind of bail at this point. It's actually pretty easy to do. If you click on how to set up Docker here, it'll take you to the right spot in the docs for this. There's actually an automated setup script you can use, which will install Docker and Colima if they're not already installed, and then it'll set some stuff for VS Code. You don't have to worry about it. You don't need to do it manually. It'll just do it for you. So the first thing you want to do is download the setup script. This is literally just a snippet right now. So I'm going to download this, and then I want to run this script. So chmod is going to modify aspects of the file, plus X means it's going to make it executable. And this is the name of the file I just downloaded, and then it's going to run it. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to go over to the terminal, I'm already in the downloads directory. That's where that file got downloaded to for me. For you, it might be somewhere else, but you want to run this copied code from wherever that script was downloaded to. So I'm going to paste it in here, and I'm going to hit enter, and it's going to run. So you can see Docker is already installed for me, Colima is already installed for me, and it's going to start Colima up and then set some configuration stuff for VS Code. Again, you don't need to really know what it's doing or think about it. You just run this, and it'll get it working. So when it's done, it's going to say the settings were updated, setup is complete. I can close this window now if I want to. I don't need to keep it running at all. And if I go over here into VS Code, you can see in the GitLab Duo Workflow tab now, it's showing my workflows. I've done some before, so I don't have an empty state here, but it's working now. I could start a new one if I wanted to. So that's one thing. There is a script you need to download and run in order to get Docker and Colima up and running, but it's pretty easy to do, and that is something I didn't mention in my last video. Another thing I want to mention is this is kind of a tip that we use constantly in the Papercuts team, and that is the Vue DevTools extension. So if you open DevTools in a Chromium browser, then there are a bunch of tabs here, right? Like Elements, Console, Sources, Network Performance, Memory, Application Security, Lighthouse. These are all standard. This one you see here, this is Vue, and then this is Legacy. We don't need to get into why that is. This is actually part of a browser extension. This is this Vue.js DevTools browser extension. It adds a Vue tab to the Chromium browser DevTools that lets you do a lot of debugging stuff of a Vue application. So if I open this, there's a bunch of stuff I can do. First of all, it's just going to give a list of all the Vue apps it can find in this left panel, and you can search among them if you know the one you're looking for. But one way this is really useful is kind of going the other direction. If there's a thing in the browser that you know you want to edit, but you don't know how to find that source code, this is a really good way of doing it. So here I'm just looking at like the list of issues in a project. If I click on this target button here, it will allow me to select Vue components on the page. So let's say I wanted to edit like the row that shows in an issues list. I can click on this, and it's highlighted in green. This is the issuable item component. What's really cool is if I go over to this like open in new tab looking icon button, this will actually open the source code for that component in VSCode. So I'm going to click on it now, and you'll see it's going to open issuable item.view right here in VSCode. And I can make whatever edits I want to make here. For the purposes of this call, let's say, I don't know, well, let's just say I don't want this to be bold anymore. I don't know why. It's not real. This is all make-believe. But just to show you that it's opened the right file, if I scroll down to where it is, it might be this. Let's say geo font normal. And if I save that, no, it was something else. Okay, fine. Let me see what this is. So another thing you can do is you can just inspect in the regular elements panel to look for things like IDs or data test IDs that will help you find something in the source code as well. So this is issue title text. Issue title text. I saved. Is it not? Do I need to refresh the page? I shouldn't need to refresh the page in order for this to work. Another thing you can do is look at the computed styles. And if you search for a rule, you can kind of look through to where it is. So content list li.title has font weight 600. I think I'm just not applying that class to the right thing. Oh yeah, it's this, I think. There you go. Now they're not bold. So, you know, that extension makes it pretty easy to find the file you want to kind of speed up kind of your iterative loop of like finding a thing, changing it, checking in the browser how your change went, and going back to it. Another tip is that when you're inspecting the GDK in DevTools, our Rails app will emit these HTML comments that tell you what template it's about to render. So you'll see a bunch of these if you inspect the DOM in the GDK. They'll say, you know, begin, some template file, some stuff, and then end, same template file. So you can see here that app/views/projects/issues/index.html.haml is like the template file in Haml that all of this stuff is inside of, right? So if I go edit that, app use projects, issues, HTML Haml, right? App use projects, issues, index. Oh. This page. So this is the Haml template that defines this entire page. You can see that really it's just got like you know, some Vue apps that are rooted in it. There's not much going on here, but there is you know, some stuff about the page title. There are some specific styles that are loaded in here when the HTML is sent over the wire from the back end. So there are times as well that you will need to edit this stuff, especially if you're editing a page that has not been converted to Vue. Then these will really be the signposts that tell you, hey, go edit this Haml file in order to affect the styles on this page that you're editing. So that's just some tips about kind of using Duo Workflow and making edits to the UI of GitLab using your GDK. I highly recommend this Vue extension. It makes it way easier to find stuff, way easier to debug stuff, because as well, if you've got a Vue app selected, you can look at all of the props that are currently being passed to it. You can look at the current state of its data attributes. You can look at the current state of its computed values, it makes it nice to in the browser debug view stuff as you're editing it. And that's video. Thanks. Let me know any questions or other things that you think that I should have covered here, and I'll see you around.